You're a busy professional. You don't have time for fluff. You need strategies that work, and you need them fast. Welcome to Busy Pro Fast Wellness with me, your host, Alan Welsh. We're here to give you science-backed hacks and actionable tips to boost your focus, minimize friction, and maximize your results. Less time, more impact. It's time to get well, stay strong, and thrive. Let's get to it. Hello and welcome back to Busy Pro Fast Wellness. It has been ages since I've done a solo episode, and I had a couple of people reach out to me and say, Alan, we love what you're doing in your solo episodes. We also like your guests very much, but in terms of what we can feasibly listen to in our short windows of time, we just like the 10-minute or 12-minute format. So I thought, well, I'll just come back to that one, and I'll intermittently bring some solo episodes into the arena. So anyway, I was out on this leisurely walk recently, and I was listening to an audiobook, and there was a line which I suddenly heard, and I thought, that's such a great idea, and that could also feed into this podcast. And it was, too soon old, too late wise. I feel that about myself sometimes. I think that I missed the boat on certain things, and I was like ready, and suddenly it was too late. But anyway, I digress. So this idea has been around forever. It's usually attributed apparently to Benjamin Franklin. But hearing it at that moment, it kind of landed differently. Because in life, we often move way too fast, and we get into that hectic hustle kind of mindset, and that becomes our default setting. And the real question is, what exactly are we measuring as we move through, in the words of Oliver Burkeman, our absurdly short lives? And I'd like to bring in the first quote of the day, which is by Epictetus, who was a Stoic philosopher. And he says, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. And many of us are taught to measure our success in fairly predictable ways. For example, in the USA, it's really all about income, status, possessions. And let's be clear, I'm not saying there's anything majorly wrong with any of that. I mean, I'm a fan of building things and obviously earning a decent living. I mean, it's all part of the game. But the problem is when that becomes the only metric on your dashboard, because you can have a massive net worth and still feel like you're running on a treadmill that's slowly increasing its incline. So what if wealth isn't just about what you accumulate, but the real quality, satisfaction, and enjoyment you experience in your life? Because there are forms of wealth that simply don't show up on a typical profit and loss statement spreadsheet. For example, your health, your relationships, your quality uninterrupted time, your ability to stay calm when things go sideways. And one that often gets overlooked, your contribution. So your ability to be useful, to solve a problem for someone else, to move the needle for a colleague or a friend, even slightly. Anything is better than nothing, because this is the form of wealth that compounds. And I recall listening to a podcast recently, and Simon Squibb, who's a massive entrepreneur in Great Britain, and he was speaking about what he instills in his son, because he has a an issue with the education system in Great Britain about the idea that teachers are encouraging students to think about their futures in what do they want to do, about their net worth, about their hourly rate. And he was talking about how he instills his idea, this concept with his son, which is, what problem do you want to solve in the future? Because that makes you think more laterally, outside the box. And it's kind of really rings true in this example, because the idea of helping other people, when you're doing that, there's this kind of knock-on effect. And this ripples outwards. And incidentally, from a purely practical standpoint, it creates a high trust environment that makes your life significantly easier. So think about the moments that actually stay with you. It's rarely that transaction. It's the interaction. The half-hour meet-up for a coffee when you actually listened instead of checking your watch. That's the real currency most people overlook until it's too late. So don't be that person who is rich on paper, but in all reality, totally bankrupt in life. So how do you actually apply this? Well, yeah, good question. You want to be applying this without it becoming some abstract gratitude exercise that you'll never actually do. So here is a 60-second audit for the end of your day. You can ask yourself these following questions. Number 1, who did I actually help today? 2, did I make a single interaction better for someone else? And 3, did I notice one thing today that wasn't about work? And that's it. No journaling marathon, no overthinking, just a small shift in what you're paying attention to. Because what you measure, you optimize. If you only measure the bank balance, you'll sacrifice everything else to grow it. But if you measure contribution, connection, and presence, your daily behavior starts to correct itself automatically. And just to be clear, I'm not saying you shouldn't be ambitious. No, success is great. But success without a nervous system to enjoy it, it is just, well, it's a high-speed collision. By all means, build that business. Earn that money. But just don't do it at the cost of your health or your ability to actually be there for the life that you are building. And just hitting that burnout. People talk about that all the time, don't they? But it's true. It is so easy, without realizing it, to suddenly, oh gosh, too late. Life moves quickly. We may all know that. But I just feel that some of us are more attentive to that than others. And it's surprisingly easy to drift into a way of living that doesn't actually align with what you value. And by the time you realize the metrics were wrong, the clock has already run down. And here's another quote. This is by Anne Frank. And she says, "No one has ever become poor by giving." Yep. That really is true. So today, just notice, what are you measuring? And where might you already be? Maybe wealthier than you actually think. Because sometimes the most valuable things in life don't look like an asset. They look like a moment. This is Busy Pro Fast Wellness. If you enjoy my content, please, I encourage you to follow me and also to write a 5-star review on Apple or wherever you get your podcasts. That would be amazing. Until next time, take care and goodbye for now.